a very good morning and welcome to what is a very bitterly cold December morning. Now we've come down to the coast today because as you can see, it's a little bit foggy. I've never been to the coast on a foggy morning, so I'm quite looking forward to this one. I've kind of got in mind some minimalistic long exposures. You know, the fog's going to dissolve all the backgrounds and all you're going to be left with is the dark silhouette of your subject against it all. So come down to Kilnsea, we're going to head down to the other end of this beach where there's the remains of some old piers, wooden posts and things like that. I thought that might work quite well. The tide is on its way out. It's a little bit high at the minute because high tide was about 45 minutes ago. The tide is on its way out, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's get stuck in, head down the beach and hopefully get some nice photographs this morning. So we have made it down to the remains of the old piers, and good news, the fog has hung around. I can see above my head, it's a very low layer of fog. You can see there is some blue sky sort of starting to appear above me, so I think we should probably hurry up and get on with taking this first photograph. So I'm just going to use the posts behind me. I'm just going to have them coming in as a diagonal line straight through the image, big to small, long exposure water, fog in the background, just sort of dissolving everything in the background. Normally you'd see a wind farm offshore around here. You can't see that, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. So let's get some filters on the camera and take the photograph. All right, so we've got this shot set up now. We've got a 10 stop filter on, and there is a little post just off in the right hand corner of this frame. I really like it because it's kind of out of sync with everything else. So all the rest of the posts are all kind of uniform in the line, but this one's just kind of in between two posts, coming out at a bit of a funny angle. I quite like it, gives it a little bit of character to it. So we're f8, 30 seconds, and ISO 100. And as I was saying before, we're getting the long exposure look with the water here, but we're also getting the fog in the background, and it's really just eliminating any kind of background, so you just have the dark silhouette of the posts in this photograph. So once that's taken itself, I will show it to you. I'm going to move off a little bit further because the sun is just starting to peek out now behind some clouds, and we're getting a sort of warm glow in the sky over in that direction. So I think I'm going to head down there and find the next set of posts. Here's that photograph. Right, it's time for a breather. It is so cold this morning, it really, really is. But rather unusually for this location, there is very, very little wind, which is weird. I'm used to being sort of blown around here. So above me, there are some patches of blue sky now starting to appear. And I'm kind of hoping that that means that on the horizon, some of this fog's going to start burning off, and we may get some sunlight burning through in the next hour or so, which would be quite nice just to get a bit of a warm glow to the fog in some of these photographs. But I have an idea in mind. It's some posts that I've shot before. There's some posts with some boards along it, but judging where everything is in the sky, we may be able to get some of that backlit fog. Yeah, I need a minute, I need a breather, and I need to warm up. I might go sit in there for a couple of minutes. Oh wow, so the posts that I came to photograph with the boards along them, I'm guessing there's been some quite rough seas around here because the boards are now under sand, which surprises me a little bit. I know the weather out here can get a bit rough sometimes, but wow. Okay, I'll have to have a think about this. But I can see just up there, the sun is just starting to burn through now. So hopefully we'll be able to get something down there I may have to rethink my original shot for this, but, well, this is photography, isn't it? Sometimes you just have to go with the flow and just roll with the conditions, and you get what you get, don't you? So let's get down onto the beach. So these are the boards I was going to take a picture of. Well and truly in the sand, but all is not lost. I've seen something and I've had a plan. So sometimes with photography, you need a subject. We're going to do our own. We're going to do a DIY subject. So we're going to place this crab pot lobster thing in front of these posts. We're going to use it as a subject, and as you can see, the tide, it's going to wash around it. And I think we may try and get down to like a second or half second with the exposure. My wellies have just failed. Second or a half second with now very wet and cold feet. We'll have the water rushing around the subject. Cool. All right, so we have everything lined up. This has been a right faff to get because, well, the tide keeps moving this pot around, so I keep having to sort of chase it and then replace it and then reconfigure. So we've got a 3-stop magnetic ND filter on. We're at f11, ISO 100, and we're around half a second. 2-second timer. As the waves are retreating, they're giving me all the lines and the streaks in the surf, and it looks really, really cool. Obviously, I've got to try and time this when the water has left the tripod, so we don't get too much shake in the tripod. I'm also trying to time it so there isn't a big wave coming in the background as well. This is one of them where you've just got to pepper this with shots and just hope and pray that you grab one that's going to work. You see, if we're getting a big wave coming in the background, it's leaving this sort of dark brown band. See where we are at the minute, the water around here is very, very sandy. It's a lot of sand cliffs around here, so the water, it's not blue, it's kind of brown and mucky, so you've got to try and work with that. So let's let me run back through this lobster pot here. So yeah, it's just a case of really just riding the shutter here and hoping that you get one that doesn't do that. You see, this is what I was talking about, you see, so now I have to run out here, reposition this to roughly where it was. Hopefully, yeah, that's not bad. And then we have to refocus on the pot. So this is one of them. I'm going to show you the whole process. I'm not going to lie to you and say that this is easy. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that this is fun. And now we're going to get no waves coming across. I mean, I already have probably got 10. Oh, here's a big wave. Is it? No. So I already have 10 or 15 of these shots. So I do have one to work with and play with. But I just wanted to show you the process of trying to capture something like this. It really is, it's just trial and error and hoping and praying. So yeah, I'm looking through these and I'll post the best one on the screen for you to see. Okay, so for this next photograph, I'm going to crack out the big ones. I've got a 16-stop filter in this case, and I kind of thought we might use something like this. So let me show you the composition quickly. A composition something like that. So I'm going to switch lenses because it only fits this lens. You stick it on the 5D, use the remote shutter, and hopefully get a really, really long exposure, and just see what happens with all the waves and everything. So let's do that. Okie dokie, so we've got the composition set up and we've got some test settings dialed in. So now we need to jump into the exposure calculator to work out what settings we're going to need. So for the bulb mode, so we've got f8, a 40th of a second, and ISO 100. So I'm going to go in, find f8. I'm going to put in a 40th of a second, ISO 100, and we're going to go down to 16 stops there. So that's giving us f8, 27 minutes. We need to adjust. Okay, so adjustments have been made because I'm not standing here for half an hour. So we're at f5.6, a 250th of a second, and ISO 200, and that gives me 4 minutes and 22 seconds. That's a little bit more like it. All right, so this photograph is now going. It's 10 out, around 280 seconds is the exposure time. So it's going, it's on its way. I recomposed a little bit. I was a little bit too far out from the posts for me to really get something that I liked there. So I just moved a little bit closer to the posts and where the tide is. Obviously the tide is retreating, so sometimes just got to move around a little bit. So what I'm going to do, while this exposure takes itself, I'm going to do my outro and then I'm going to end this video and show you this super duper long exposure. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy it as much as I have this morning, because it's made a nice change, coming somewhere familiar in new conditions, we'll put it. I said earlier on in the video, I've never been to the coast with fog like this, so I have enjoyed myself. So if you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up, because it really does help the video. It brings new viewers to see my content. If you liked it more than that, somewhere below that camera or below me, I can never remember because it gets mirrored at some point, there's a subscribe button. You can press that. You'll see nonsense from me with my cameras every single week. So until the next time, I'm going to love you and leave you and say peace and goodbye. And here's the photograph.